This is an audio journal of the young men who will not accept the decline of Western civilization. Today's voices are William Gibson, Gabriel Stolaas, Jachin Atkinson, and Joel Schwepler, and I, your host, Micah Sheldon. Join us on our quest for the noble spirit through the path of virtue and valor. Today's episode will be discussing the point of friction. This is a concept that was taught to me at the Marine Corps Officer Academy. An officer is moving with a squad-sized element or larger of men, and he's trying to make sure that they will move smoothly to their destination or their objective, and he has to watch out for the point where they are having the most difficulty or be the most vulnerable. So the example I remember was moving the squad through a ravine. The squad is able to maintain formation until they get to the ravine, and then they have to jump down, move while they're exposed, and maybe they get bunched up. And so in order to keep everything moving smoothly, the officer sprints ahead and jumps down into the ravine and then helps each guy through the ravine, making sure that everything goes quickly and smoothly. So that is the physical example of the point of friction. But one of the roles of a leader is to identify the point of friction in life and make sure that he's there working on that so everything else can progress smoothly. Another example that I'll give on this concept that I began applying to my life was during officer candidate school, where every morning we would get up at 5 a.m., lights, 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 and you'd have to jump out of your rack, put on your uniform, get your teeth brushed, shave, eat your breakfast, and be ready to go for PT. And it was very, very stressful. It was, I would lie in bed dreading the lights, 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 because it was just such a stressful thing to do. The bathroom had like maybe 5 sinks in it, and, you've got 35 people elbowing each other to all shave and brush their teeth. Oh yeah, and then I would also get into a lot of trouble over my uniform because my uniform tended to be sloppy. And that was because I was putting my uniform on quickly and rolling the sleeves quickly. And what I started doing, applying the point of friction to my life, would be that I would ask the fire watch to wake me up at 4:30 a.m. And then I would shave, brush my teeth, carefully roll my sleeves, study whatever materials I needed for that day. And then I could go back into my bunk and lie down. And even if I didn't sleep, even if I just feigned sleep, I was able to very calmly get up at lights and eat my breakfast slowly, lace up my boots while everyone else was shoving each other for a chance to shave. That was an example how my entire life became easier because I put in a little bit of extra effort at the point of friction, 5 a.m. Jachin, you talk about how you have a very irregular, abnormal sleep schedule because you work nights. Do you want to talk a little bit about your morning routine?
Yeah, so I work nights, so basically just have to go to work at 4 p.m. Not your average time to go to work, but a lot of people that I know work nights will get up at like 3 p.m. for a 4 p.m. shift. I get up at 1 p.m. Now, for everyone used to getting up at mornings, that's pretty late, but I'm getting up 3 hours early, get up, get dressed, eat my food super slowly, and then I just get my uniform on. Then I just get into the car and go to work at 4 o'clock. And very easy, very stress free. And then I haven't wasted any energy in my morning trying to scramble. So when I actually have to do work, it's much, much smoother, much easier. I have more focus, I have more alertness.
Yeah.
And I'm just more awake, and it's much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I think a lot of us can empathize with getting up 30 minutes before work and scrambling and forgetting things. And I don't know the science of this. Again, this is a pseudoscience with Micah moment, but I'm pretty sure your body gets like full of cortisol or something. It gets full of stress, and then you're just horrible. You can't focus, you can't think clearly, and your whole day is terrible because you're stressed. Whereas, like you said, you go slowly and you're able to kind of warm up the engine, so to speak, and everything's good.
Because I noticed that about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours after I woke up, I was actually awake. All
Right,
the time before
right,
that,
right.
I was not fully awake. I wasn't fully conscious. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't move quickly. Or if I did move quickly, it would just be some mindless scramble where I
Right,
waste
right,
more
right.
time than what I gain.
Zombie
Yeah.
mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the getting up 3 hours before work means that when I first arrive at work, I'm still a little bit groggy, but not a significant amount. I just drank some caffeine and then I'm good to go for the rest of the day.
Solid. Will, you talked about organizing thoughts. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, of course. So, a big point of friction for me that I experience, because it's my own fault, I'm creative, and for some reason I want to exercise that. We talked about time management last week, or last time. I'm pretty poor at time management. I'm pretty poor at, like, gathering my thoughts. I'm just very scrambled in the head.
Yeah.
And so trying to, like, sit down and just force myself to work was kind of it was just painful, and it didn't make much fruit. You know, so I would spend, like, 8 hours over a couple weeks trying to get something ready that should have taken 3 hours. Right? And also, like, all those 8 hours was time I was dragging my butt. I wasn't doing much. It didn't feel great.
Right.
Because, like, yeah, it took longer than it needed to, and that time I put into it wasn't
Productive.
quality.
Right,
you know?
right.
It feels bad to not be productive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a stress point for me.
Yeah.
And I guess if you lock down the point of friction on that, it's kind of hard to identify. It's not a clear ravine where it's like, oh yeah, creating is easy until I have to engage with critical thoughts and feedback, and then
Yeah.
just the whole thing's hard. But what I realized is that it all flows smoothly if you gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's all. So a lot of why it would take so long is I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I was sitting down for. I didn't know what I wanted to explore. This is why creatively it's so good to, like, brainstorm.
Yeah.
Often what they say is you brainstorm first, and then at a separate time, you're critical of that.
Right.
Right, so first you have to be completely uncritical so you can explore thoughts freely. You can get all the ideas out there.
Right.
And then later you come back and you're critical with it. You can't be critical while you're doing that because then you shut the boy up.
Yeah, yeah. You
They're
get in
just
your
not-
own way.
You get in your own way.
Yeah.
When it's just really good for your brain to, like, it's like making your room. It's like
Yeah.
making your bed, you know, like cleaning your room,
Yeah.
cleaning your workspace. Like, your brain is an environment that needs to be organized,
I really like that.
as it turns out. And, like, thoughts are in boxes. And for me, my boxes are heckin' everywhere, boys.
Right.
They're everywhere. There's, like, cat hair in that one, even though
Yeah.
I moved out years ago from my parents with the cat, you know, like, it's just a mess.
Right.
And it turns out when I hate it, you know, because my dad was right the whole time.
Yeah.
When I take 10 minutes just, like, putting the boxes in order, it's
Right.
easier to think.
Yeah.
And so I was really surprised when I found out, like, I went to the coffee shop. I was getting ready to prep for D&D.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Let's wait. Let's spend 10 minutes. What do I even want to do? Like,
Right.
what am I even
Right.
doing here?
Right.
And so I made a little bullet point list of, like, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to explore, whether I felt like that was actually important to me or not.
Yeah.
Eisenhower Matrix, is it important? Is it urgent?
Mm.
And then even after I've done that, it gets so much easier. Like, it's so much more fruitful because
Yeah.
all my tools are in place. I've made sense of it. It's great.
Yeah.
So I think you should organize your thoughts at the top of the act.
Very nice.
Yeah, to build on that, I also DM in the same circles as well. And I definitely also noticed that even though I prefer not to do a whole lot of concrete prep, I like to make a lot of stuff up on the spot, purely just because of the way my brain hates to write things down. I noticed that it just really helps if I take 10 to 20 minutes just writing out little bullet points. Those 10 to 20 minutes usually get broken up over, like, multiple sessions. So I'm, like, spending 5 minutes, I write down one point, and then I just have those points. And then when I'm actually thinking about the session and doing my prep, I just look over those bullet points, go, maybe this one's not great. Or this one, I really want to lean into this one. And then I just expand upon that and extrapolate on it on a separate time.
So, like, a really cool thing is that a little bit of planning for you allows you to be a lot more creative. Like, your strength is to do that freestyle creativity. And having that little guideline right there allows you to swing around a lot more in your freestyle creativity.
Exactly, because the blank slate is just too daunting in the moment. You need to have already got just a little bit of a starting point, a little bit of a bridge to jump off.
There you go. I like that a lot. Yeah. Something similar to starting your day with, or your project with a 10-minute planning period. I think a great example is devotions, morning devotions.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's something that I personally struggle with, and I really have to focus on it. It's one of my goals in the immediate future is to make sure that I have steady morning devotions. Just being able to get up in the morning and read the Bible, pray for my friends, pray about the things that are stressing me out, think about what I need to do. That allows me to enter the day in a much better mind frame. Yesterday, I was starting a job training and I was really stressed. I could feel my brain being foggy. And so I'm supposed to attend this big business meeting with all these people, and I could feel my brain being foggy. That's really something you can mitigate with a little bit of prep, a little bit of planning.
Yeah, you gotta clean your brain, boys. Like, your brain's a space that needs to be taken care of. You can't just, you can just float around
Yeah.
and be like, oh, it'll work out. But what if it worked out better?
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to that too. I've found that if I have a lot of things to do in a day, they'll all be buzzing around in my brain. And when I start one, I'm thinking about all the others. And so one of the things that I've found to be really helpful in that is just have a way next to me to have a to-do list. And every time I think of something that is not my current task, I can just write it down. And then I'm like, okay, now I don't have to remember that anymore. I can completely focus on the thing that's in front of me because I know that thing is written down. So that's another form of organization that I found really helps me because I can't focus while I'm thinking about everything at once.
It probably lowers your stress, right? Now you're not stressed anymore. The Windows Task Manager, where you open it up because your computer's slow and it turns out there's all these programs running in the background.
Yeah.
I try to view my mind a little bit like that. When you don't take care of something or organize things, you might think, oh, it's okay, I'll do it later. Or you might think oh, it's not a big deal, but it really is buzzing in the back of your mind, taking up some of your emotional bandwidth or your mental strength. And being able to, like Joel said, put it to that list and say, I've got it planned out so that my brain, I'm not taking up space in my CPU, so to speak.
Yeah, bingo.
That can be applied to a whole lot of different things, like work related, I gotta mow the yard, something as small as that, or even a relationship, I really like this girl, I gotta ask out this girl, and you're stressing out about it in the back of your mind, you see that girl, just go ahead and do it so you can get closure over it.
There it is.
That's the real one.
Get it over with. Whatever the thing is, kind of just get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, but Dad was right.
Let's be honest, young man. How many of us have suffered for years because we liked some girl and we kept wondering, I should have talked to her, man. Oh, she was there tonight. I didn't talk to her.
Oh my gosh.
And if you just bit the bullet and talked to her, even if you made a fool of yourself, you could walk away from that knowing. And then that buzzing is gone. That stress.
And you didn't waste all that time being anxious.
Yeah, all the angst.
Can I bounce off of that?
Yeah.
I'm processing an idea currently that I think I'm very happy with. I finally have some kind of catchphrase, right? A nice little single phrase. But I've decided that doers are learners.
Yes.
That's not a unique idea, but I finally hecking figured it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very anxious person,
and
I try to make sure it works the first time and all that. Turns out not a lot of things you do in your life will work the first time.
Right.
Or work well the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
And as it turns out, the way that you learn is by failing, literally, and then processing that failure.
Yeah.
So if you want to do well, as it turns out, it's better to do than to not.
Yeah.
Because darn it, that's gonna suck.
Right.
And it might really suck sometimes. But that's a thing. And we can deal with that.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it and it doesn't suck and you're in this weird little emotional limbo, that's nothing. That's just bad.
Right.
So if you can bear it, it's better to do and get it over with and learn at least, or do and succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, Jachin, you were talking about being very good at competitive video games, was it?
So I wouldn't say I'm very good, but I do think that it does kind of lean into this point. If any of y'all play video games competitively, you'll know competition breeds excellence. The more competitors there are in a game, the better the player base is. When you are new at the game, or new at something in life, new to a skill, you have to just try things. You have to try it. You have to fail, realize why you failed, and then work to correct that specific thing. find the exact thing you're bad at by doing, and then focus on remedying
Right.
that thing.
We all got to be noobs or scrubs or
Mhm.
knuckleheads, green sticks at some point, and you got to get through that painful
Yes.
adolescence first.
Part of that painfulness is definitely other people telling you suck. Ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen, and sometimes it is good to just swallow your pride. And they say,
Mhm.
"Hey, dude, you keep missing." Okay, sorry. Swallow your pride and accept the older guy's advice. Gabe, were you going to say something?
Right. I think we actually talked about this yesterday, Micah.
Okay.
And essentially, everybody fails, but only losers, cry and quit. Right.
Only losers quit. I like that a lot.
But winners will adjust strategy and try again until they win. They refuse to lose.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a sore loser. It makes you a winner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When I think about the people that are champions at a sport, at a game, at a skill, at a job, they are always the people that are willing to practice more than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that people that are bad at something, it's usually because we don't like the thing. Like, I do not like details. I do not like little details. I don't like planning. But I suffer in life because I avoid the thing I don't like. But the people that you see that succeed and are the leaders in their field, they're the ones that are willing just to dedicate so much time just to practice. They're willing to suffer through the things that hurt them the most until they conquer it.
You also have to not only practice, but have the courage and guts to actually do it.
Right.
Yep.
So smart people, I know a lot of smart people,
Right.
but they're not the ones that get rich.
Yeah.
It's the bold people that get rich.
Yeah. I've been trying to start this business for the last month, and I've learned very quickly that the point of friction is me talking to people and getting
Yeah.
rejected by people.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's the part that is holding me up, is I hesitate to go and just canvas door to door like I need to up my number of leads and my amount of revenue. I think that definitely it's good to, like Jachin was saying, reflect on where you're bad and then, focus on those. And then Gabe, like you said, you're only a loser when you quit.
Mhm.
How many shots has Messi scored? Okay, zillions. How many has he missed? How long did it take him to become who he is today, So,
Yeah, there's an old saying, every shot you don't take is a shot missed.
yeah. Joel, you got any thoughts on that?
I had a thought on just effort in general, because I think sometimes we can put effort in, but putting effort into the right place can be a lot more beneficial and time efficient.
Yeah.
So as a college student, I've learned some things, and I'm only a sophomore, so I'm not pretending I've learned everything. But one of the things I've realized is there are two main methods of learning that people tend to employ, and to be fair, they're more ends of a spectrum than individual things.
Right.
Some people like to memorize a lot of things, and some people like to really understand things. And for me, understanding is so much better. It will help me so much more if I understand what's going on than if I memorize this or that formula.
So for you get a new subject, a new topic, and it's very intimidating. And for you know that your fastest way to mastering it is to understand the concepts, figure out how it works. And for you, that's better than if you were just frantically memorizing everything on the board, all the notes.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing, kind of a consequence of that, is when I'm in class, there's always the temptation to think about something else, not stay focused on what the teacher's saying. But what I found out is that if I actually focus on what the teacher's saying and understand the concepts, really think things through, and put in that mental effort, I will have to spend so much less time out of class studying.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that can just help a ton.
Yes.
And so putting in that effort in the right way at the right time saves me so much time outside of class, studying, trying to figure out what I missed, what I didn't understand.
Yes.
So I've found that to be super beneficial.
Yeah, that's a great point of friction that a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with. I was a high school teacher and I was teaching computer science last year. And what's really funny to me is the students are forced to attend class. So it doesn't matter if they goof off or try to, do something else on their computer or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're still going to have to sit there for the class period. And then the ones that paid attention do well on the tests and the homework, and the ones that didn't are under so much stress and misery later.
Yeah.
And what's funny to me is the ones that are trying to avoid paying attention or they don't take notes, they don't seem to realize they're still, if they're still going to be sitting in my classroom. So they might as well just use that time rather than saying, I'll learn about it later. I don't need to pay attention. I'm going to play this game on my computer because I'll just do it in my own time. Well, you're here anyway. You might as well.
Yeah.
While I can help you, That's great. That's great.
For sure. Yeah. And understanding is just so much better than memorizing in general.
Right.
That's at least my view.
Right. Will.
Yeah, it sounds like a commonality of the things we're talking about here.
Yeah.
In order to learn and to find points of friction and to become effective, which is kind of what it feels like, is learn to become effective.
Right.
Right? And learning how to learn, you have to directly engage with the world. Part of why I say that is I think a temptation I'm prone to, hearing this kind of advice, is I would be tempted to go more into my head.
Yes.
And more out of my body.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And more okay, if I was just more intellectual about this,
Right.
maybe I could figure out what the right point of friction was.
Right.
No. The point is that you go out there and you experience the world that you're in.
Right.
And then, okay, you try to process it, but the important part isn't just processing it better.
Right.
It's processing it and then experiencing the world under that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that just reminds me of the scientific method that has, got us so far.
Yeah.
Is there are a lot of people who like just doing thought experiments, and they can think and they can discover a lot that way, but it's never considered a concrete scientific law until it's been tested.
Right.
And I think that goes back to, you can't just think, you have to think and you have to act.
Yeah.
So what you just said, I really like about the danger of everything staying as a thought or us being too over intellectual in our heads. The entire point of this podcast, Virtue and Valor, is that we are focusing on physical and spiritual things, not just mental, right?
Yeah.
Gabe mentioned risk, both in talking to girls and in money. Risk taking is not an intellectual thing. You can understand that you should talk to the girl, but it takes courage, physical courage.
Yeah.
And it takes physical willpower, stamina to pay attention in class. Or it takes humility to be able to keep trying at a game when people are yelling at you that you're bad, This isn't an intellectual thing. You need to have physical virtue. So I really liked that point that you made there.
Thanks.
When I was in officer candidate school, there was, hundreds of us, and we're all competing and we're all trying to survive the pressure. And you were able to very quickly find out which guys were the ones that were going to help you with something and which guys needed help and needed to be rescued. And it was really funny. We very quickly developed our pecking orders and our hierarchies of knowing who was actually helpful and who was in need of help. Something that I realized really quickly was the people that suffered the most were the ones that were doing the bare minimum just to get by. They would do the bare minimum of what was expected of them, and then they were always struggling to keep up with everyone else. Will, you made a really cool comment to me the other day about managing, where you said, if you do one more thing or one little extra bit of effort than the bare minimum or the average, then you are above average. And changing that mindset to being above average. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So the idea for me, I actually realized when I was doing a physical thing, and I would help put boxes away in the morning.
Right.
Because to sell that much chicken, you need a lot of boxes of stuff. Right. And so I spent a long time doing it, and kind of like you were saying, Micah, if you're going to be in class either way, how can this actually be good for me? I have in me, I think, sometimes, a masculine desire to be large. Or at least to be strong.
Guilty
to be capable.
as charged.
Guilty as charged. Guilty. And so I was like, screw it. Let's do this the fun way.
Yeah.
I could just carry this box and go from A to B, right?
Right.
And there's obviously a mechanical way to carry the box. Easy.
Yeah.
There's also mechanical ways to carry it safely, right? That don't damage your joints. That's good. Lift with your legs, boys, not your back.
Yep.
But I decided like if I can either hold this box the easiest way or the a harder way, I would rather hold it the harder way so I can get more muscular growth out of it.
To get swole.
Because if I'm gonna move all these boxes anyway, and if it's gonna hurt a bit the whole time anyway,
What a Chad.
I can take it if it hurts a little more, and then like I'll be stronger than every other truck guy who just does it the easiest way. But I'm already doing this, so screw it. I'll just milk it.
Wow.
And I'll try to. So that idea of like doing a little extra
Right.
all the time will make you a little above average
Right.
everywhere you go.
And then it made carrying the boxes easier because you were swole.
Literally. Well, yeah.
Wow.
More pain to get less pain.
More pain to get less pain. Joel.
This just reminded me of part. I think it's G.K. Chesterton, the author, relates the biblical phrase that Jesus says, "He who would save his life will lose it,
Yes.
but he who loses his life for my sake will save it."
Nice.
He related that to courage, because courage is doing the thing that seems harder and
Yes.
seems like it's more likely to fail,
Right.
and yet it's actually more likely to get you through and get
Nice.
you to the other side okay.
Very nice.
And I think what you said about doing the bare minimum is kind of an example of that. When you do the bare minimum, it feels like it's going to be easier,
Right.
but it's really not.
It's really not.
It's really not.
Yeah. Jachin.
That reminds me of a psychological trick you can use
Okay.
in life, in any kind of life, whatever. You, in the morning or whenever you're about to leave to go do something important.
Yeah.
It's called the Showtime method or whatever.
Yeah.
Showtime something.
Yeah.
Showtime method. Let's call it that.
We call it showtime.
Let's say you're going to a party. Let's say you're going to work. Work is the most often used case of this. Let's say you're going on a date, whatever. When you get dressed to do that thing, in your head, you go, it's showtime. And then the first 3 times you do it, you put in a bunch of extra effort. You put in a ton of extra effort to do that thing, to be more of an employee, to work harder, to be nicer, to be more charismatic.
Right.
And then every time after those first 3 times, when you put on that specific outfit or that uniform, you dress up and you say showtime, it becomes natural. It becomes
trained yourself.
easier.
You're Pavloving yourself.
Exactly.
Mindset is
Being
everything.
based.
Mindset is everything.
Yeah.
Joe was talking about this, spending time to make things easier on yourself, something like that.
Yeah, just going above and beyond will often, it feels like doing the bare minimum is going to save you time in the long run, but it's really not.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I kind of want to go off of that. A lot of times the easy path is just to, work a 9 to 5.
Right.
That feels safe.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, if I go take this risk here, and I don't do a 9 to 5, if I start my own business, that really is going to make things more difficult on me. Or maybe if I invest in the stock market, it's going to make things more difficult on me because it's not safe. But in reality, it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of just being scared, and you end up going for what you think is the comfortable route, which is working a 9 to 5 till you're 65 years old.
Right.
But in reality, the real easy way to do it is to distance yourself or get that mindset out of thinking that's the comfortable, that's the easy route,
Right.
and actually going and take the risk. And then you actually get true freedom when you actually take the risk and don't just fall into that 9 to 5 attitude. When you actually take the risk, you actually open up freedom, and then that's actually when you get life gets way easier when you do that.
Life gets way easier. Yes, Will.
Kind of the secret, like what's being teased behind this idea of like a little more is all I need is the idea that like what I'm comparing myself to is myself. I kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, I'll be stronger than the average truck guy.
Right.
But really what matters is I don't know. The average truck guy could really enjoy lifting, and then I'm screwed because if I don't lift, that's not it, you know. What matters is that I'll be stronger than every other version of William.
Amen.
Right? And what matters is that, because that's what I have agency over.
Yes.
I have agency over exactly how I act. As much as it sucks, I'm secretly actually in control of everything. of a lot of what I do and how I think.
I like that.
So, the idea of that spiritually, right, is sometimes I get stuck in the idea that, like, yeah, I need to have these markers to be a godly man.
Right.
Right? And if I don't do that, then I feel like I suck.
Right.
So, extending the principle of, like, just a little extra every day.
Yeah.
It's also compassionate mindset, right? It's like, okay, you you don't have to shove yourself off a cliff to grow.
Right.
You just have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, if I was enjoying myself anyway and I had no inclination towards God,
Right.
okay, what if I pray a bit?
Right.
What if I just pause and I pray a bit?
Right.
Even don't try to push it, just 5 minutes of what's it feel like talking to God.
Right.
And then I move on.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to like make it a God moment, like
Right.
a holy moment if I don't feel it.
Right.
But the idea that like to push yourself a little beyond what you're used to,
Right.
to challenge yourself to be the person you want to be,
Yeah.
even in just small ways.
Yeah.
And then to this principle, the idea is a non-zero day.
Right.
If you never have a 0 day,
Right.
then you will always be growing.
Yeah. What Will just said about we have agency of our own lives and we are striving to perfect ourselves and improve ourselves from what we were the day before. That is the noble spirit.
Cool.
Realizing that we are in this quest to make ourselves better people because we have the agency to control our own lives. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Gabe, what were you going to say?
So all of these things can be applied to pretty much everything in your life that we've talked about.
Right.
I'm a businessman. I think of the business mentality. I think about how can I make money, or how can I make this business deal work out.
Right.
But it can also be applied to
Talking to girls.
Being a missionary, witnessing to people, going
Right.
out to that factory and handing out tract cards or something like that.
Right.
Really, you just pray about it. Pray whatever it is on your heart that you feel like God might want you to do. Just pray about it and pray that God's will be done. And any time spent outside of the will of God is a waste of time.
A couple things that I wanted to piggyback off of what you guys said. Going back to the idea of you either suffer or suffer. We're probably going to have to cut that pause there. But there's this great poster that I really like. And it shows a guy, right? It's like Chris Hemsworth or some macho dude curling, a dumbbell, and he's growling and he's sweating. And then on the other half of the poster is an obese guy gaming, and it says suffer or suffer. And the point is, you can either suffer that leads to improvement, or you can suffer because of your refusal to improve. I really like what I think, Joel, I think you said that, about he who would save his life will lose it.
Yeah.
And he would lose his life will save it. This isn't an intellectual thing that you can just say, oh, I know that I need to do that. You need to practice it. You need to build up that courage, that humility, that bravery to take risks.
Piggybacking off of that mindset of, oh, well, this sucks, so I'm just not going to try.
Right.
I've fallen trapped to that very same mindset, and I very easily slip into that kind of mindset. But the reality is I hate doing stuff. I hate doing anything that isn't immediate pleasure. You hate doing stuff, so you need to do stuff.
Right.
Like, we want to do things, so you have to do things.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you can control is yourself.
Yeah.
So no matter how frustrating it may seem that reality is some way or whatever,
Yeah.
you just have to look at reality and be like, okay, can I control reality? No.
Right.
Reality is reality.
Yeah.
And it sometimes sucks. A
Yeah.
lot of times it sucks. You just have to look at it and just go, okay, how can I work with this?
Right.
How can I work with this? How can I become better? How can I get around this obstacle, this massive rock? Stop looking at the rock.
Right.
The rock it's
Isn't
not going to
gonna
move.
move. Yeah.
No matter how much you bang at the rock, it's not going to move. Just take a step back, see how big the rock is, and then look to either side. See, is there a gap I can squeeze through?
Right. Will, you have a thought?
I just want to add to that too, to clarify the picture of like the path to like growth, is like that moment is so crucial.
Yeah.
Like that in some way I'm to blame. But I think what's equally important as realizing you have agency and doing something about it is realizing that you must be tactical
With your time.
about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this whole episode is kind of
Yeah.
about. It's not just about, oh yeah, trying harder and doing more, but it's
Right.
like, no. Realize you have limitations in your brain, in your body, and realize that you need to change something, and now take a second and try to be smart about it.
Yeah.
What's the one thing I can change that would have the biggest impact on my life right now?
Right.
It's very important to redeem the time that God has given you. You have only a certain amount of time on this earth,
Yeah.
and that might be one of the most important things to do on this earth.
Yeah.
Life gets so much easier when you stop making excuses
Yeah.
for why you can't do something. Like
Yeah.
Jachin's example, oh, there's a boulder right in my way. How can I get around it? Instead of being like, oh, there's a boulder in front of my way. Guess I can't go that way. That's blocked.
Right.
Instead, you think, well, that's a boulder in my way. Okay, how am I going to go around? Or maybe you have a disease, or maybe you have a limp leg, or maybe you say you have ADHD. Nobody cares. Just get over it.
Yeah.
Figure it out and go on. People have problems all the time.
Yeah.
And they get over it. But nobody's going to come and fix your problems. It's all up to you.
Right.
This reminds me of a book. Basically, he's talking about effectiveness. He reminds you to focus on what you have influence over.
Yeah.
Because there are so many, it's so tempting to focus on what we can't change.
Yeah.
And that's not going to get us anywhere.
Right.
So really try to identify, what do I have agency over? What do I have even a little bit of influence over? And then think about that stuff and don't think about the rest, because
Yeah.
it's not useful.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised at how what you do have influence over can even grow through, using tactically using the things that you can control.
Yeah.
I just want to offer, if it is pleasing,
Uh-huh.
the idea that we are talking about the path to improvement.
Yeah.
And how to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow, this is kind of maybe, take it or leave it, right?
Right.
These are what we think. These are some ideas and perspectives to help you grow.
Right.
I think it's also worth remembering that there are other parts of life too, and there is healing.
Yeah.
And there is a time for peace and a time for war.
Yeah.
There's a time for pushing yourself, and there's a time for rest.
Right.
And I just want to remember that there is a place for compassion.
Yeah.
Because I don't just want to say there's no help to cry about it. You got to do
Right.
something about it, because that's true if you want to do something about it.
Yeah.
But also you're not stupid for crying about it. Emotions are real, and physiologically,
Yeah.
not crying will give you heart attacks at the age of 50. So just remembering there's a place for everything, and that what we're talking about
Yeah.
is how to grow and how to put yourself out there. But there's more to life, and there's more reasons. But
Yeah, yeah. If I can, I'm trying to wrap all the thoughts up in
Yeah.
a conclusion. I want to offer words of encouragement that, whatever the point of friction is in your life, whether it's getting up to get to work on time, whether it's to talk to a pretty girl, whatever your point of friction is, it's the point that probably causes you the most pain. So when people mention it to you, you probably feel really hurt, like, oh, geez, yeah. And when you realize it, when you see it, it hurts. But that's the pain of growth. And when you are able to identify a problem, you're already halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
A great phrase or saying that my mom has is, first you fall in the hole. Then you see the hole and you fall in the hole. Then you see the hole and you go around the hole. And the point is, it takes a while to train yourself to actually change. And if someone says there's a hole and you say, don't tell me there's a hole, it's like, no, we're so glad that now we figured out where the hole is. So you might be feeling very low when you realize that you have a problem with time management or a problem with anxiety or whatever. You might feel really bad. But the truth is, it's a good thing because you just identified your point of friction. And that's half the battle. Now that you know what's going on, you can start working on it. And, it's pretty scary, but you'll run into a lot of people that aren't aware of what's killing them, of what's getting them. And those guys, they do not possess the noble spirit. They are people that are refusing to look within themselves, willing to work on themselves. And those guys are not going anywhere. Those are losers. So if you are thinking, even just thinking about what's wrong with you, where you're messing up, you're already beginning the path. And, like Will was saying, and I think Jachin as well, if I can combine it with what Gabe said about no excuses. If I had to go into a death match with some 300-pound guy, I can cry and say, I'm 170 pounds, I'm going to die. Or...
And you're going to die anyways.
Right. Or I can say, okay, well, I got to start training, right? And you go into the gym and you see that guy, right? And he's curling 70-pound weights. And you're like, oh my God. If he's 300 pounds, he's probably curling 100-pound weights. You go in there, you can only curl a 30-pound weight or a 40-pound weight,
Or 20 pounds.
Or a 20-pound. And it hurts. But, like Will was saying, be compassionate on yourself. Take time, have a schedule, work out, rest, chart your progress. And yeah, when somebody says, dude, you're not capable of beating that big guy. Yeah, I know that. But I'm going to work on it. And if you can please tell me where I'm messing up, I really appreciate it. So like you've got a trainer who's saying, okay, your left hand is too weak, or you're telegraphing your moves before you punch. You pay that guy money because that guy's saving your life. He's getting you ready to win, even if it's humiliating. And then there will be a day where you go in the gym and you start slinging around 100-pound weights and you go and you knock that guy out, right? So being realistic about your struggles means that you identify them, you look at them, and then you make a plan to improve, and you're compassionate on yourself as you improve. But you don't give up and you don't cry, because if I don't go and lift those weights, he's going to kill me. No one's going to save me in that ring, right?
Right. And if you don't know what to do, find somebody that
does know.
Yeah.
Just as a kind of a closing encouragement, I know we're getting close to the end.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things to realize when we are in this place of maybe being depressed because we're struggling with something and we don't feel like we can make it out.
Yeah.
Just remember that the Holy Spirit is with you.
Amen.
And that God has promised to perfect us in the end.
Amen.
So it's not a losing battle. And I think that's one of the hardest things to get over is feeling like you'll never change, feeling like it's never going to be any different than it is. And yet we can hold to that promise that the Holy Spirit is with us, working in us to perfect us and to bring us to his new world where we will be able to live up to, his standard, which is way higher than even the standard we hold ourselves to.
Yeah.
So just be encouraged if you're in that place of feeling like you can't change.
Amen.
God has promised.
There's a quote from a good friend of mine, Ethan. God can't steer a fence post.
Yeah.
And I love that. I use that a lot. What it means is you have to be moving in a direction. If you don't know where to go, at least move somewhere. And pray that God will guide you.
Yeah.
Be excited about what God has planned for your life. And be excited to find it out. It's like reading a book.
Yeah.
And you're writing it and God is guiding you. And it's really exciting to get to the end to see how it all works out.
Yeah. That's awesome. My closing thought is that one of the best ways to improve, to find your point of friction and to work on it, is have a friend that's different than you.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe Stolaas has taught me so much. Everything I know about money, all the money I've ever made in the stock market came from him. He's the one that gave me the courage to start my own business. He has completely changed my life simply by being himself and being different than me. And so it really helps sometimes if you're stuck and you don't know why you're not changing. Surround yourself with people that are proficient in the way that you're not, and just learn from them. And just figure out what they're doing,
I think a closing thought for me is that, for me, like, this journey and this practice of finding the point of friction, it's really all about willingness.
Yeah.
Right? So, on one hand, what's important is that you have fight in you, right? It's not that you don't fall, it's that you get up. Like, that's what defines a fighter.
Yeah.
A noble spirit is that you don't, you do not control if you die or not.
Right.
But that you control that you try.
Yes.
That you try to live, right? And like, there's the fact of that, right? But also just spiritually, like, what does God see,
Yeah.
And like, if anger to the brother is counted as murder,
Yeah.
That's true. But on the other side, also, like, a broken spirit and a contrite heart he does not despise.
Right.
And I'm learning that what he desires and what he cares about is the heart, is the fruit of the heart, is the virtue. And the humility to admit you're failing, and the hope and the grit to be willing to continue, even if you have not the compassion or the wisdom to see how you could redeem it or you could grow. I think that's what he's after, and I think he wants to mold that. So for me, it's all about willingness, and that's where the rest flows from, and work from there. But it's just what you want is a willing and open heart.
Amen. Jachin, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think my closing thought is, though we are striving for perfection, it's not about the perfection in itself, because that is unachievable to us in this life. What is important is that you are just trying to be better than the man you were yesterday, or the woman that you were yesterday. Just trying to be better. Don't think about how much better everyone else is, or don't think about that. This is not important. It's not productive. Just think about how you can be better than you were yesterday.
Joel, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think if I had to say just like one thing to complement all of this stuff is accept help and give help. We're not in this journey alone.
Right.
Sometimes with a lot of this stuff, it can really motivate you
Yeah.
to do better and whatever, but then you can get burned out so easily.
Yeah.
And I think that's where community comes in, and that's where your relationship with God comes in. I think both of those are just going to help you through the tough spots. And then, if you realize you've benefited from community, or if you haven't yet, offer that same help to other people. Going through life together is a blessing.
Amen.
And it can, as iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
So one man sharpens another.
Yeah.
I think we need to, just remember that.
Yeah. Gabe, do you have any closing thoughts?
In a nutshell, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't make excuses for yourself. That only brings you down. Just get out there and do it. Think about it a little bit, but don't think about it too long, honestly. Sitting back and thinking about it, you end up missing your opportunity. And you're never going to know how to do everything. You get out there and you do it and you learn it as you go.
Yeah. Solid.
And pray that God guides you.
Solid. I will close with this poem by Theodore Roosevelt, you may know, called The Man in the Arena.
Ooh.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Hoorah!
You can cut that out.
Sure, yeah.